Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willy Bragg. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Overslept, needed to eat, needed to get myself presented because you would not want to see what I look like prior to taking a shower and all of that. I look like hell. So anyway, hey Warren, how are you doing today? Theater de Macabre is the accurate explanation for the thumbnail. And Max Sergey, how are you doing? Watching the Maples Files. Hey Warren, says Max Sergey. So yeah, welcome back to the Willy Bragg Show. Quick announcement. I have something I have to do tomorrow evening, so there will be no Bragglands tomorrow. However, there will be Bragglands on Thursday at 7. So I have a previous engagement, so it's something I have to do tomorrow evening. So there will be a Bragglands at 7 p.m. Thursday evening. And so here I am right now with the Willy Bragg Show, and I want to talk about sore winners and sore losers. And I've been watching it all over the place. The gloating that goes on in each election cycle, and the pessimism that people go through, the people who tends to lose elections, on all sides, and it's repeated. Oh good Lord, when Republicans win, they gloat, and when they lose, they act like the world is about to collapse. When Democrats win, they gloat, and when they lose, they act like the world's about to collapse. So something's telling me that maybe it's the parties themselves that are the problem. This is why, as a general rule, I try to avoid both parties, because I've always said that it is entirely possible that you can look at both parties and think, this is a fucking choice. This is a fucking choice. And there's no left in this country. There is a left, but it's not really in the established two-party system. And you're hearing Democrats blame the left for the election. You're hearing Republicans say that Kamala Harris was this far left Democrat. I didn't know was far leftist to go and embrace Dick and Liz Cheney, and I did not know was far leftist to not even talk about Medicare for all, let alone not even talk about public option or things like that. I mean, people just make shit up without even knowing what terms means. I've said this about the 2024 election. Had Trump winning last 2 weeks ago was a right-wing victory, no doubt. If Kamala Harris would have somehow beaten Trump, or Biden would have stayed in the race and beaten Trump, it would have still been a conservative victory. And for some reason, people just can't handle that. They can't handle that concept. But it's the truth, because the Overton window is so messed up in this country. And I've gotten in 2016, I gotten canceled by people. I got canceled by mostly a lot of liberals. Canceled me because I would not support Hillary Clinton. I went and voted third party, and they blame me for voting for Bernie in the primaries and voting for Jill Stein in the election. I was never sorry about that. I would have done that. If I repeated that, I would have done the same thing I did. And I did the same thing again in 2020. I voted for Bernie. I voted for Howie Hawkins in the general election. In 2024, I went and voted for Jill Stein again. I mean, this is not about me. I'm just talking about my ideology. I believe in voting for my beliefs and my core values, not out of virtue signals, but just out of policy. Why would I vote for people who don't represent the policies I want? And they have proven that once they're in power, the party that's supposedly the closest to getting the policies that I would desire, they have no desire whatsoever to go and even do that. You saw what happened in the past 4 years of Biden. You couldn't even get a minimum wage out of that creep. So, I saw nothing really tangible. The only positive thing that came out of the Biden administration, I wasn't directly affected by, and that was the National Labor Relations Board. If the National Labor Relations Board would expanded the unions to the point where it would have reached 20, 25, or 30% by the end of this Biden term, that would have been something. But 1% or 2% is like a drop of pee in the ocean. Of course, that drop of pee in the ocean is a step in the right direction in ways that it hasn't been in decades. We've seen nothing but declines of labor unions since the days of Ronald Reagan. And that's just at the surface of everything that's gone wrong in this country. So part of the reason why we can't have nice things. And so, as I said, Trump won last week. They had played the victim for the past 4 years. Oh, woe is me. A fucking orange, fat billionaire, who's arrogant, and they made him a fucking victim. I don't care who you are. You're a billionaire. You're not a fucking victim. And so, and I saw what happened with Hillary when she lost. The pink pussy hat morons out there made this entitled Karen who funneled in $250 million through the Clinton Foundation, made her out to be a victim. So, yeah, while the Clintons are not billionaires, anybody worth $250 million, especially that fucking bitch, is not a victim. Kamala Harris is not a victim. The victims are people in this country who live day to day that can't even pay a surprise emergency of a debt or bills that are mounting up to about $400 out of the blue. People who go to the doctors or go to the hospital or have to have some medical procedures done, and they have to go and pay, even if they're covered with their insurance, even if it's a fairly decent coverage, that they have to go and still pay thousands of dollars out of their pockets, where to the point it's hurting them. We're talking about a country that doesn't have mandated paid vacation time for their employees. Talking about a country where retirement is becoming more and more the distant dream, and people are working longer and longer and on into their 70s to retire. And there are people out there that want to make you work to the day you die. Some of these pencil pushers and executive types are saying, well, look at me, I'm 87 years old and I go to work every day. Well, they go to work every day for 3 hours to a board meeting, or some young little pussy like Ben Shapiro or who's a podcaster with his little effeminate hands, and I'm being misogynist or anything like that, goes and plays with the computer and talk about how Reaganomics and Bush-Cheney wars is good for America, which it isn't, and tells you these things, and gets paid handsomely for it, and tells you retirement's a stupid idea. Yeah, if I did what Ben Shapiro did, as far as the money is concerned, having the enlightened ideology I have currently, or the retarded ideology he has, sure, I could work till I'm 87 years old doing that. I have to go and do a regular job on top of this, which sometimes is a challenge because I am scheduled Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays currently at 8 o'clock. And sometimes it's a challenge, like it was tonight, to make it here on time. My point is, you got a lot of out of touch people who will sit there and blame others for all the problems. And then, you got these MAGAs out there. And, I've past 4 years, I've actually blamed a lot of shit on Democrats, and I will continue to blame Democrats for a lot of shit. Believe me, when I tell you they're garbage, they're garbage. But now the Republicans are in charge of the presidency. They're in charge of the U.S. Senate. They're in charge of the U.S. House. And they're in charge of the courts. The ball is in their court, literally. And so, their policies better work, or we'll call them out on that. And how in the world can we can see where the Democrats are elitist and out of touch and don't represent working people? We can see that as plain as it can be. But how the hell did Donald Trump and this orange human-sized Frito convince people that the Republican Party is the party of the working class? The party that will fight against the minimum wage, something as basic as that. A party that would just rather sever a limb than to see a labor union exist. A party that thinks that a public option is communism. A country a party that basically would tell you that people who fought for civil rights are telling African Americans to be part of a liberal plantation, while they actually believe that actively working against their interests during the days of Jim Crow actually made their lives better. This is what we're dealing with here. This is what we're dealing with. And now that Trump won, a lot of them, you would think some of them would be kind of laid back and calm about it. No. A lot of them are acting like sore winners. So, case in point is Twitter right now. And I've joined Blue Skies. I'm still on Twitter. I'm going to stay there until that rubbery-faced moron Elon Musk, asshole that he is, kicks me off. But as you can see, you see this MAGA person acting like a victim, a crybaby. We took over Twitter and own you libs. Now you have to listen to us. And, the progressives are like, okay, because, they're tired of getting punched up. I'm talking about a large, diverse ideological group of people who comprise of the left. So they went over to Blue Sky. I'm not saying the Blue Sky is the end all and be all. I'm not. But, as I said, I'm on both platforms because I think that Blue Sky looks like it's going to be the future for where it stands right now. It looks like Blue Sky is where Facebook was in the early months of 2009, and Twitter is where MySpace was in the early months of 2009. It's like one day Twitter was being like MySpace, just another day. And then over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, it was like hardly any trafficking. And I was like, no traffic, huh? And then all the traffic was on Facebook. And I was like, oh, it looks like I'm going to have to just concentrate on Facebook. That's what it looks like is happening right now. That's how it appears. It appears like I have come back to the year 2009, like the early months of 2009 when this shit was happening. So, I'm on Blue Sky right now, just in case it's going to be a thing from here on. So, and I don't know if it's a trend and all that. I'm not here to talk about my being on Blue Sky per se, but what I'm trying to say is that, you had the Trump supporters that ended up, a lot of the MAGA folks, and I was talking to one of my friends today on actually on Blue Sky, Angie Moon, who's got a book out called True Crime, and I I needed to go and advertise her book here. Got a copy of her book and everything. I should have had on hand right here, but that's okay. We were talking about being on the Blue Sky. She just got rid of her Twitter account, and basically, what was she saying? She was saying something along the lines of that she didn't have to deal with a lot of the right-wing people that she had to dealt with, and she dealt with on Twitter. And she's not any wokester that wants to sit there and lecture somebody, and virtue signal, and neither am I. And the point I'm trying to make is this. I told her, when I first came on Twitter 2 years ago, it was May 31st, 2022. I liked it because while I knew right-wingers existed on Twitter, I didn't have to deal with them. I had control where I didn't have to deal with them. And the lefties I dealt with on Twitter, I liked. It was kind of really nice. And I think of the world of my Twitter friends on the left, my leftist friends on Twitter. I think of the world of them. A lot of them are going on the Blue Sky. And so, in fact, the psychology of dealing with people, leftists even on Twitter, is better than dealing with them on Facebook for the most part. It's just better than dealing with people in general than on Facebook. I am on Facebook, but I don't particularly like being on Facebook that much, in spite of being on Facebook a lot. But the point I'm trying to make is this. When Elon Musk took over Facebook, and Dinesh D'Souza basically said that he would love for Elon Musk to go and suspend all accounts that's on Twitter that's obviously left-leaning, to see, quote unquote, how it feels. Nobody's ever suspended Dinesh D'Souza off of Twitter when Jack Dorsey was running it. And yeah, I do know some conservative voices were silenced on the Twitter, and I don't agree with that. But he has no nuance, and people like Dinesh D'Souza and a lot of right-wingers I have to deal with don't have any nuance. And they want to punish the entire left because that's what conservatism is about. It's about punishing and retribution against your political opponents. That's what it comes down to. And so that's what you have to deal with. It's all about revenge politics. And so and my point is that there's been a lot of gloating around and everything, and there's no and I've told people that I was neither delighted nor upset of Trump winning, and I felt the same way about Kamala Harris. If she would have won, I'd have been neither delighted nor upset, because why would I be? My politics did not win either way on election night. We're going to continue the status quo no matter who's president in January. Looks like it's going to be Trump at this point. We would have seen the genocide continue. We would have seen no sign of Medicare for all, no sign of public option, and even the one little thing that she claimed she wanted to do with Medicare about in-home care being covered under Medicare, I think that was just talking points, because Biden campaigned on a public option. The motherfucker did not do a damn thing. Fuck you, Joe Biden. Fuck you for not doing anything about Medicare public option. And no serious effort to get to protect the right to organize, no serious effort to get Build Back Better. And Biden just patted the head of AOC and Bernie Sanders, and he listened and respected the Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, who are now independents, and valued them more than he does the squad or Bernie Sanders, and sat there and let a human corpse like Mitch McConnell jerking around with Supreme Court nominees here. And next Supreme Court nominee, I made him promise the next Supreme Court nominee on point will be a pro-lifer. So this is what we dealt with as far as the Supreme Court, and as far as we have to deal with Mitch McConnell. So so we're winners. And people sit there that they won't take any, you go say anything against the orange Cheeto or against the MAGA brand, they'll come at you like a ton of bricks. They don't even care if you have a nuanced opinion on things. They'll come down to you like and then they have the nerves to talk about how authoritarian the Democrats are. And they are in a lot of ways. It's why I can't stand quote unquote the cults that that I hear people talk about in independent media. Warren talks about stay away from the cults, and he's right. Stay away from the cults, folks. And blue MAGA and red MAGA are cults. Trump derangement syndrome and Trump devotional syndrome are cults. Red hat MAGAs and pink pussy hat shit liberty are cultic mindsets. So just realize that. And as I said, I made a resistance liberalism. I mean, Max Blumenthal said that I detest the resistance liberalism, and I agree with Max Blumenthal. But I'm also going to go and oppose this cult mindset MAGA too. We got to do that, and in other words, if you're going to do resistance, do it intelligently. Don't do it in this cliche Democratic Party handbook, because when you do, you're basically sitting there and supporting the idea of Chuck Schumer's and Nancy Pelosi of calling Donald Trump an asshole in public, but behind the scenes, you okay his judges, and you okay the agenda, and you give him more money, a lot more money to his defense budget, and allow him to have more surveillance power than he was allowed to have. And then you do these sort of things, and then you hear this snake named Elizabeth Warren talk about she's willing to support Marco Rubio, who's an asshole. Don't care if he has a pleasant demeanor. He's an asshole for Secretary of State. And I don't defend Tulsi Gabbard like I used to. I'm got a lot to say about Tulsi Gabbard. However, she goes and talk about Tulsi Gabbard being a Russian asset, and that's and call Tulsi Gabbard a problem. I got a lot of criticism about Tulsi Gabbard even now. I don't think she's less of a problem than Marco Rubio, who's basically a more good-looking version of Mike Pompeo. That's the difference. He looks better on camera. He's going to give you the same policies. And just as I thought that Mike Pompeo was a son of a bitch and a piece of shit when he was the Secretary of State under Trump, I'm also going to think that Marco Rubio is a scumbag as a as Secretary of State. And Elizabeth Warren is a fucking bitch for supporting Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, fuck you. So, the people in the two parties are not our friends. And, the fact that Elizabeth Warren and Lindsey Graham are troubled by Tulsi Gabbard becoming Director of National Intelligence, as angry as I am with Tulsi Gabbard, that almost made me want to support her for Director of National Intelligence. I don't, but, but in that instant, there's an impulse to make me want that just to trigger them. And Grayson almost seemed to make a case for it themselves. I almost think they have the same logic I do. They express it better than I can. But, the thing about it is, they talk about sore winners, sore losers, right? Well, and again, I'm not a partisan hack. I promise you that. I'm not a partisan hack. They can sit there and they can talk all day long. They can talk about how they can talk about liberal meltdowns all they want. All day long. They can talk about liberal meltdowns. And as you can see right here, I can get that screen bigger. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work well or not. Let's see. Well, you know what's happening here. This is the January 6th insurrection right here. Y'all Democrats are a bunch of sore losers. And you saw what happened. Now, I don't think it was the end of the world that January 6th happened. I mean, I'm not saying it was a good thing. I think it was not a good thing. It was comical. It was comical that it happened because, I mean, these motherfuckers were going to go and do this diet coup for an orange Frito who don't give a damn about them to begin with. So they were going to go and try to do their little amateur version of the Day of the Rope. And for those that don't know what the Day of the Rope was, and I'm not saying it's exactly the same narrative of the Day of the Rope, but the Day of the Rope was a chapter from the Turner Diaries, which some of y'all know what it is. Most of y'all know what it is, where they went and executed all the quote-unquote race traitors and all that, hung them. They did a mass hanging of people that they disagree with. I'm not going to say that exactly was there. Some of them do have that agenda, but I'm not saying that's exactly every one of them, but almost all of them, no, they all are far right in their own way. But they went and sacrificed themselves over this orange buffoon, Donald Trump. I mean, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I mean, because did they really think that they could take over the U.S. government like that? I mean, the silly shaman guy, what, he's going to be president pro tem of the U.S. Senate or something? I mean, it was crazy because, that if that insurrection would have taken place and then they would have taken over, U.S. military would have come in there and then they would have been like, no, you can't. And so it would have been a temporary American military occupation. Donald Trump would have been arrested, and that's what would have happened. But the fact that I wanted to point this out. Yes, Max Sardi said in the FBI and CIA were involved. Oh, I think that they were absolutely, but this is what my take on it. I do think the feds were involved, no doubt. But I also think that there were actual right wing assholes involved that wanted this to happen too. So I mean, it yin and yang. It took a lot of people to make this happen. As for the people that were involved doing this, I think they went there to go to Washington to go and get it out of their system. I've been to DC, protests in DCs. I've been to anti-war protests and pro Assange events and things of that nature. And it's a great way to go rah rah rah, or protests in Raleigh or in Chapel Hill or Fayetteville over the years, and it's a great way to go rah 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 over whatever pet issue you have, and then you go home until the next protest. And I think that's what it was for these folks. But what happened with them is they got all caught up into the moment, and all of a sudden they went and they followed the leader. And lo and behold, I worked graveyard shift. I woke up. My parents were visiting, and they woke me up for dinner that evening because my mother was cooking. And my dad said, "What do you think happened here on the news?" And I look at what happened on the news, and I busted out laughing. My dad, who's my dad, who's a Republican, my dad got pissed off with me. It's like, "You think this is funny?" I said, "Absolutely, this is funny. It was hilarious." Yes, PHS Cisco says yes. It was comical in my opinion. Yes, I thought it was comical too. I mean, I busted out laughing. I just thought I couldn't stop. I mean, it was just I was just like, these people, these losers running into the Capitol, and they're going to get mad because their man didn't win the election. They should be more mad that we don't have Medicare for all. I mean, there's a lot of things to be more mad about than Trump not winning the election. And how's this for sore winners and sore losers? Yeah. When Trump won in 2016, Hillary Clinton and her minions basically said, yeah, it was rigged, and Vladimir Putin put Trump in the White House. It didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way. It was the trick of the Electoral College. That's what put Trump in the White House. And there was other things that happened in our society that eventually led to a Trump win. Why did Trump get defeated in 2020? To all the Trump supporters who claim it was rigged in the last 4 years, it wasn't rigged. What happened was COVID, and this. If Hillary would have won in 2016, Hillary would have been defeated in 2020 because of what her response would have been to COVID. And because nobody did a good job anywhere around the world. Not Trump, not what's his name, Boris Johnson. No leader in no country around the world properly responded to COVID. The only people that responded to COVID in a positive way were people decades ago did not know that COVID was going to happen. We're talking about the countries that already had universal health care. They had it so where they were prepared for the crisis. And we did not have universal health care, and we paid dearly for it. Was several 100,000 lives, something like that. That would have probably been alive today. So my point is, if Hillary Clinton would have been in charge, she would have lost in 2020. So Donald Trump just happened to be president during the wrong time. And Biden came in because people were wanting to get back to normal. They had normal, and they had a few little fucked up things that was added to normal, and then they went back to Trump. And if Trump doesn't turn things around in a positive way, and if he doesn't act too authoritarian, hopefully he won't. I'm hoping he won't. If there's an election in 2028, the Democrats will probably get back in power because I don't expect Trump to serve his full term. Look at him. Just look at him. He's 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 a fat slob. I mean, I'm sorry to call. I mean, I'm not exactly the most fit person in the world, but look at Trump. He's not exactly the most fit person in the world. So he goes and he's no longer president for whatever reasons, either passing away or bad health, what have you. And I don't think that J.D. Vance has what it takes to win an election, and the Democrats choose a halfway decent, convincing candidate. I don't ever expect Democrats to win on policy alone, but they can have a good bullshitting candidate. They could win in 2028 after what we expect to see is going to happen with a Trump presidency, which I think is going to be a total disaster and a clown show. So we're in a mess right now, and I say we're probably worse off than we were in 2016 because what happened last week, 2 weeks ago, was basically the 2016 election without the mention of Medicare for all. That's the big difference, and it's going to be fucked up. But this is what we're dealt with. I wanted to discuss this and to deal with people who wants to be sore winners, because as I said, if you have to deal with people you have to deal with in real life or on the line that wants to be assholes to you, sometimes you got to cut them off. Don't deal with it, for your own personal well-being. I mean, I'm combative online myself, but I'm the kind of person that you believe differently, and you're not an asshole about it. I'm not going to really go after you, but the minute you become an asshole to me, expect it to be thrown right back at you. I don't mean you. I'm just talking about in general. I know I'm a little all over the place about it. These are just some passing thoughts that just happened in the last few days, and I just kind of wanted to share this with you all. So, and I got to go in a few minutes, but I'll talk to y'all here on the chat line and make some final announcements, and I'm gonna head on out. So, we're carrying signs now. Survey says. Dude, didn't get notification yet. This has happened since Thursday, getting worse. Just for your information. Sometimes that happens online, about the notification thing. I've had that happen to a lot of channels that I signed on to. Some of them don't. There's usually some kind of a glitch. So sorry about that. That's all I can say. Let's see here. Looks like we got Woke Willy up in here. Yeah, I woke up. Yeah. Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show says all the cool kids are on Space A now anyway. Yeah. You and I are, Chuck. You and I are. Warren is as well. And I don't know if you know our friend Nikki, but she's also on Space Hay. And for those who do not know what Space Hay is just kind of like Blue Sky, is a recreation of Twitter. Space Hay is a really, really low budget, crude recreation of MySpace. I'm not up there every day, but I'm up there sometimes just to see what they have to say. Was that Turtle Face McConnell? Do you know he's not from your planet? I know that he's a turtle, referring to Rich McConnell. I like doing my Mitch McConnell impression. I'm Rich McConnell, and I'm feeling an asshole. So I'm still waiting for Panquake since nobody cares about Mastodon. I never went to Mastodon, and I love the concept of Panquake. I'm waiting for Panquake as well. Never care about Twitter 1.0, and I don't care for Twitter now that Elon turned it into Gab. Yeah, I have called it the new Gab myself recently. First Lady Elon Musk basically did turn it into Gab Light, but fuck Elon Musk for what he did. We're carrying signs now says, "Hey, Bulla, I'm still working, listening." Okay, let's see. Sekodu. I'm sorry. Yo, thanks, Willy Bragg, and you're welcome. All the real ones know about the Willy Bragg show. I appreciate that. I do. Let's see, for example, Gaza, universal healthcare, debt forgiveness, and all the eco-disasters like East Palestine, etc. Yep, Joe Biden was not shit as president. He was a really terrible president when you think about it. Yeah, he's a mess, and he's the old man. They're probably going to try to get Gavin Newsom in 4 years, and he's pretty lame. I think that what both parties tend to do, they tend to choose what is called a dark horse candidate. There's somebody out there that we don't even know about that could be the one. And it may be the one that's predictable too. So who knows? So anyway, quick announcement before I go. Bragglands will not be on tomorrow night, Tuesday, but it will be on Thursday night. I have something I have to do tomorrow night, so I'll be back on Thursday for Bragglands. Jimi and myself will do Bragglands 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Wednesday I'll do the Willy Bragg show as I will on Friday. And anything else I was going to say right now? I guess that's it for the time being. For Thanksgiving, I might do a casual stream. I'm just not quite sure yet. So, and we'll see what's going on from there on. So, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Reject corporate media. Subscribe to the Willy Bragg Show on all my appropriate platforms. And remember to free and pardon Ed Snowden, fully pardon Julian Assange, free Palestine, free healthcare for all, because we really need it, and to protect the First Amendment, free speech rights, absolutely. So take care, y'all. See y'all later. Bye-bye.